Hello and welcome to this very impromptu and final JMC review of 2017. And joining me for this year's last review is, once again, this year's seemingly breakout guest star, my grandfather.
Hello, Marlin Crawford.
Or Jack, if you are friendly enough with him. And I was, when I heard that Brad Jones, who I'm a huge fan of, was going to make a new movie this year after Jesus Bro, I knew I had to make a review of it. And I think over the years, I love to watch movies with my grandfather. I like watching stuff with him. He's pretty good to talk about the movie afterwards, to really dissect it, and we're pretty close. And I like to watch the movie review shows I love with him, and through doing that I think I've turned him into a fan of a few.
A fan of a few, yes. Jacob really likes Brad, and I've gotten to like Brad as well, and we've watched a number of his movies.
I think at this point we've watched every one except the one that apparently will never be released.
Apparently so. Moving right along. This particular movie is
Disco.
Disco.
That was fun.
This movie is a little special. Brad announced this movie pretty much out of nowhere back in September this year, and he said it would be exclusive only to Patreon, to anyone who pays to his Patreon. And my thought at the time when I heard that was, I already pay money to a lot of reviewers I like through Patreon, and I usually support the underdogs, I guess, the ones who don't get a ton of money. And Brad, he gets quite a bit, so I thought, he's well off. Then I saw that I could only see this movie through paying his, and I'm like, you put me in a tough place, Brad. I have to do it.
And so here we are. And the fact that we're reviewing the movie means Jacob did it.
Yep, and I don't know how long I'll be a patron, but for now I'm glad I did it. And what did we think of it?
What did we think of it?
I'd say, for the most part, I really enjoyed it. Brad said it was kind of like his early films from 10 years ago, and yeah, it has the feel of his earlier films. The picture quality's a lot better, but it kind of has the feel in the sense that it has a very guerrilla feel, and the camera work is very clunky all over the place. Definitely reminds me of Freak Out and Cheap. And every character is pretty unlikable. What did you think?
Well, definitely he returned a bit to his older look. Wasn't as grainy. But Brad likes, or in the past he liked to shoot a lot of stuff at night in the dark. This was at night in the dark. That was just like signature Brad from days of yore.
Could see things a little better in this one.
Yes, but that was because I think he used a more modern camera than he did back in those days.
Can't use high-8 cameras anymore, and if you can, good luck finding one.
Yes, interesting movie. It wasn't even intended to be on the same what would you say, production quality as Jesus Bro, but the content was good. It was a lot of fun, and I don't know, it was a lot of self-reflection, and I'm not even sure why it has the title it does, because it's really not about disco, although there's a disco soundtrack running throughout the whole thing.
Gee, you wonder why it has the title. There's your answer.
I know, but it's not about that. It's about dysfunctional families, dysfunctional relationships, crime, and a little salting of pornography. Pretty much a Brad movie.
Like a pinky of salt.
You're not gonna give me all the money, are you, Vince? Nah, I didn't think so. You got a big score lined up, though, right? You'll fuck it up like you always do. But I got another option for you. You both want to be in the movies?
I'm not going to do it. Movies? Those movies? Is he crazy?
There could be a lot of money in it.
This movie, almost all of it takes place at a single location. There are a bunch of scenes peppered throughout that take place at the main characters' homes. But for the most part, this movie takes place at a disco club, and before I saw this movie and I heard what it was and I saw the trailers, all I could think was, this eerily reminds me of the fake movie that Brad's character in the Cinema Snob movie was trying to get made.
African-American man in the 1970s. His parents are butchered by a crooked roller derby owner. The only way to get revenge is to be one badass, double-handed, shotgun-wielding, roller-skating, disco-dancing motherfucker with the DNA of Tony Manero, Fred Williamson, and Truck Turner combined.
In that film, they talk about how we have to shoot at this disco club, and if budgets don't work, we'll just shoot entirely inside it. And without the blaxploitation part, kinda, I don't know, feels like maybe this could be the movie that his character in that film might have made.
Well, if you talk about I'm glad you brought that up. Talking about the blaxploitation movie, he started this out as though you're at a theater, and and they run a preview.
Yeah, they showed the trailer. This movie starts out with the Grindhouse coming attractions, and we see the full trailer for the 1970s blaxploitation film Disco Godfather.
Coming to this theater as its next attraction is the picture that will put you in traction. Disco Godfather, starring me, Rudy Ray Moore. Disco Godfather.
I thought that was a fun touch. For a moment I was like, is this? I didn't know he was going to play the whole trailer, but it was kind of fun.
The whole trailer, it went on forever. It was just a startling way to start out. But apparently then the feature was disco.
Yep.
And so it was a good way to introduce the music, the beat, all this other kind of thing. And obviously the production quality of the trailer for that was much better than the production quality of disco, but that's expected. It was fine. They had a lot of fun doing it, I can tell you.
That's the main thing. Brad says when it comes to his low budget, like ultra low budgeted movies, he just wants to make movies he wants to see. Mm-hmm. I remember Brad saying in an interview that he did with Doug that the kind of movies he likes to write and direct himself are the type of movies he would have loved to have come across on TV when he was maybe a younger man in the middle of the night.
So where do we go here now?
Well, first, I enjoy a certain amount of disco as much as the next. I hate this word, millennial. But you're a guy who was born before and you lived through the disco era.
Right.
And you've said it a few times that you're not a disco guy.
I'm not a disco guy. I wasn't then, not now. You know, some of the disco songs are fun to listen to. I like them. The soundtrack is not bad. You know, it just runs throughout. But you've said from your experience with Brad, he identifies himself as a 70s guy, and he loves disco.
He said in a Q&A for the disco movie that his favorite band is the Bee Gees.
Oh my.
Brad, despite his jokes, this is probably your oldest fan, as shown by these. And I thought this soundtrack was very great, very fun. It just kept going and going throughout.
This was like,
A fun surprise for me was the appearance of Hello Stranger that plays at one point during the club and during the end credits.
mhm.
Hello, stranger.
As I was featured in probably one of the most, top 5 at least, gruesome scenes in Cheap. And Brad used to say, hopefully a movie will come along where it's played not against a woman having her fetus ripped out of her stomach.
Yes, this had to be better placement than that. Yes.
If you haven't seen the movie we did called Cheap, let me just say that song is also in that movie under wildly different circumstances.
Yeah, not nearly as touching.
Now, we've gone on a little bit. How about we finally get into the story for this movie? It's not that complex. As you said, it's about...
Want me to try?
Go ahead.
3 sisters, estranged from each other. One is the bad girl of the family, the drunk. Another is married to someone that she just has pretty much decided that she doesn't like very much, played by our friend Louis Lovehog.
Linkara.
Played very well, I thought. And another sister who got messed up in relationship with her husband, who has pretty much not gone out of the house for a couple of years. Now, they all get pulled into the disco club, and they resolve their differences in some surprising ways, under some surprising circumstances. And it has to do with the people at the disco, the people who come in and try to sell drugs at the disco, the people who are trying to get money from the people who are supposed to be selling the drugs but apparently still owe them money, so on and so forth. And it all ends up just fine in the end.
It's almost a conventional people who grew apart coming back together story, but with drug dealers and gun shootouts in there.
Yes. And nobody ends up nicer persons for it.
Yeah.
So, and I appreciate that in Brad's writing. I do. Appreciate that in Brad's writing. Just, we got flawed people who have come to reconcile some differences, but they're still carrying each of them a big bundle of flaws.
And the cast of this movie are, the 3 sisters are Emily, played by Sarah Gobble, Crystal, played by Bianca Queen, making her first major movie appearance in about 9 years, I think. The last movie, I think...
At least that we're aware of.
The last movie I believe she was in was Game Boys, where she played Brad's maybe or maybe not British love interest. And Lana, the youngest sister, played by Laura Luke, who during filming was Brad Jones's fiancée and is now his wife. What did you think of Sarah as Emily, who's in the just a dull marriage?
Yes, she's in a dull marriage. She did it very well. I've seen Sarah do a number of roles. She actually played God in Jesus Bro, which was
one week after she gave birth in real life.
There you go. No, she did well. She did well. Played the role believably, and brought the level of emotion that she needed, and she delivered.
I'm sorry. I don't want to deal with your sister right now.
You don't have to, but I'm going out. I'm probably going to be out all night. If you want to stay here and be a drag, that's up to you. I'm going to enjoy the evening.
When was the last time you enjoyed Lana's company?
At least I'll be doing something.
Sarah can be pretty likable, and she has a way where even when she's being bitchy, you can still really enjoy her presence and her personality. And she's a great comedic actress, and she can be a badass when she is asked to play one. She wasn't really one here, but she can play a lot of different characters, and she was pretty cute when she did her dance, just the way she moved to the music.
Yeah.
Did you actually think anybody was good at their dancing in this?
Not particularly. No. They with the camera work, they shot it pretty well, and actually Brad put into the script where somebody, I can't remember which of the characters, says that none of us can dance well. We just get drunk enough, so by the time the contest is on, we're all believing that we're good dancers.
Yeah.
So, what's it like being a dance partner?
Well, if you're a good dancer and an alcoholic, it's not so bad.
Are you a good dancer?
Actually, I'm terrible. We're all terrible. Competition happens so late at night and everyone's so drunk they think we dance like professionals.
And Bianca Queen, the Crystal character, I have a few pros and cons with this character. On one hand, Bianca, she's a great actress. She was good in her small role in Cheap and Midnight Heat. She put an extreme amount of emotion into that character. In Game Boys, she was just completely lovable. Here,
You've helped me prove something to Lana here. That you're a boring jackass. Now, let's all come together so we can show Lana that we can make shitty decisions too. Isn't that the bonding time you need?
I think it almost feels like the character was written a certain way and Bianca just played it completely different than, I don't know, maybe this is what Brad intended, but it feels like her performance didn't match the type of character she was playing. Like, the character is supposed to have been a woman who's estranged from her sister and whose husband cheated on her with said sister, and she's just as Lewis calls her, a shut-in, doesn't go out anymore, just cuts herself off from everything. And I find I think this character should be very sympathetic, like understandable, and why she's all angry at her sisters when they go out to the disco. But okay, here's what I'm trying to say. Bianca played this character a little too similar to her character in Midnight Heat, when I think her character in Game Boys would have been a better one to kind of be similar to.
It's interesting you say that, because I don't have memories of those to really pull up and compare to. What I thought was that she did a pretty good job in portraying what she was, but the script took a long time for us to understand how she can be so angry but then so withdrawn. It wasn't until a lot of the way through the movie we found out what her real problem with her sister was.
We have our own separate lives, and my life has been much better without you.
You prefer being locked up in your apartment than being outdoors.
Because you fucked my husband!
And so it kind of kept questioning it. What's going on here?
I liked the eventual reveal of what it was that drove a wedge between them. That was unveiled pretty well.
Yes, it was. The timing of it is, I'm saying, it just went on a while. It kept you guessing.
The one thing that was a little confusing was when Emily goes to see Crystal and she's eating the 2 cakes and you see that banner with the name Sophie. What was that? I don't think that ever really came to be anything.
The only Sophie I know is like Sophie's Choice, and she's, I don't know. No, if Brad has done something subtle and you know, retrospective or
I kept thinking that it was going to be revealed that she had a kid and her sister might have been in charge of that kid one night and accidentally lost track and the kid died.
Yeah.
That's what I was expecting it to be, but
I didn't get it, I'm still confused about it, and I think it's probably maybe just a little too subtle for me to pick up on the fly like that one time through.
maybe we're dumb. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, if you're dumb, it's kind of hard to you haven't got a baseline to compare it with.
Bianca, even though I think the character's a little flawed, she's a great actress, and it was great to see her again. And Brad is saying that he's possibly going to make another movie with Bianca. Possibly a sequel to Midnight Heat.
In a couple of places, she had multiple lines on a run-on bits, and she delivered pretty strong stuff on that, and so she's got some.
She can give a good emotional scene with a lot of dialogue, and
she was very, very believable. I want to say this about the dialogue. Sometimes I thought Brad wrote some really clever stuff. Other times it just kind of thinned out, so there was a lot of good stuff in kind of thin dialogue in between.
There was a little too self-aware comedy lines, like you would have thought this that happened here with the would have fucked my night up, but no, it didn't. It helped. Saying that kind of shit seems a little too off to me, but for the most part it worked, and it does feel similar, like I said, to his earlier work, where it did have that kind of gap of cleverly written to hokey, but it's all in good fun type.
Yeah, and but anyway, I thought she did very well, and anything that I am confused about, I think is probably in the writing.
I hear you. And now let's get to Laura Luke in her first on-screen acting role. Laura has never really acted before. She did some voice work for a few of the Cinema Snob reviews, but this is her first on-screen performance, and what did you think?
I thought she did very well. She was a believable, messed up person. She articulated things very well. Looking into the camera and delivering lines is hard. She did that extremely well. And
Brad says she doesn't like to be on camera. I'm surprised. She does very well.
I want to see you. I miss you. I miss Crystal too. I'm out with my sisters here tonight. I'm coming down. I'm coming down hard.
The character she plays, like, they're all pretty flawed, but her character, I think, was the most flawed of the 3 sisters.
Well, she's supposed to be the messed up younger sister.
Yeah, and I feel like there should have been a bit more of maybe an extra scene or two of her saying something or going through stuff to win back the forgiveness of Crystal. Just I feel like things got resolved a little too... I mean, I know the joke is it got resolved fast, but I think could have been had a little more to show the relationship heal. I mean,
and perhaps a little more development about was this part of the reason that she was messed up is because she had an experience with her sister's husband, or was that just part of what she did and was continuing to do always? You know, that's kind of thing. A little more information wouldn't have hurt, but
there's a few parts where Crystal talks about how since she was the baby sister, whenever she got in trouble, like the older one did.
Yeah, that's typical sibling.
Yeah.
Bad feelings from back in the day.
You were the baby. Little Lana could get away with anything. And our fucking daddy would not even raise his voice because Lana was the baby. You're fucking spoiled.
I'm sorry I had the nerve to be born the youngest.
It reminded me of this kid I used to know whose little brother was an absolute shit. And even though I witnessed the little brother being a complete ass, the older brother would always get the harsh talk from his parents. And yeah, that kind of thing has always been odd and annoying to know about or witness.
Yeah. Plus, it indicated that that the that character carried a lot of resentment, sibling resentment. This part of it, it's good content for Brad to include.
Good thing I'm an only child. Don't have to deal with any fucking siblings. But at the same time, you feel a little lonely.
Yeah. Two sides to that coin.
Out of all of them, I think Sarah was my favorite. The Emily character was my favorite of the three sisters. I think all three actresses did a pretty adequate job.
Yes, they were very good. And the Sarah character was probably the least damaged. She was simply in a unfulfilling marriage, where the other two had, real personal hurt between the two of them.
Yeah, which makes me almost wish there was a scene where they were like, I wish there had been a comedy scene where maybe would have gotten upset to be like, what are you crying about?
And sometimes when they were working with each other, there was really good chemistry in a scene or a part of a scene, and other times, other times that went just a little bit flat, just delivering the lines. And
there's a feeling of familiarity because Sarah and Bianca go back all the way to like before Midnight Heat, and Laura, she's pretty new to the group. So there doesn't feel as quite a bit of closeness, but that fits because the characters aren't that close.
Now Laura's effort was very good, very believable character.
Definitely. And now let's move on to the supporting players of Disco. Brad himself has the main male supporting role as Vince, Lana's would-be lover in the moment, who is a drug dealer at the club and wherever. It was a great, funny role for Brad, giving his usual sleaze and charm.
And he wasn't. The character was a bad guy. We established that. He went out, to show him, killing somebody for $20,000.
This is Henrietta's bag, and Henrietta owns the Disco.
You don't think I know that?
I'm a fucking drug dealer.
It was a bad guy, and there was some funny stuff to it. And
he was bad, but fun to watch, like maybe Tony Soprano.
And he played a good weasel.
You're the wild one, right? The wild one in the family. Everyone has those. And if you're not the wild one, what kind of debauchery is the rest of your family in?
I'm gonna find Emily.
Definitely, and
A shameless weasel.
I love the shaved 70s look Brad did, which is what my look for this review is based on. I'm half Asian. This is the best I can do. And this guy, I don't think you.
I'm just old.
I don't think you've had a beard since the 60s.
Yeah, and that wasn't much of a beard, in truth. In truth.
I definitely have a slight 70s hair going on. And as for you, not so much.
I don't have much hair going on at all. So.
We love each other, so it's okay.
But Brad's bald head worked good to play the weasel. It worked good. A little bit shiny, you know, the whole business.
You know you're gonna come back to me.
No more. My life is shitty enough already.
But we could be famous.
Fuck you.
And those yellow sunglasses he wore.
Mm-hmm. It was good. It was good.
And
he was a bad guy, he was a sleazy guy, and he was shameless.
But entertaining. And Louis Lovehog as Emily's boring husband, Travis.
Yes. I thought Travis got a bit of a bad deal from everybody. But Louis played him as a very boring guy. Beyond boring. He wouldn't come out of himself, couldn't do anything, couldn't get it right kind of a guy.
Played a real not fun to be around curmudgeon of a fuck.
Disco?
Why not?
Honey, I can guarantee you I won't fit in.
You'll be too busy having fun to notice.
I can't dance. I'm full. I just want to go home, take off my pants, and relax.
Sometime in the future, then?
Yes, sometime in the future, I'm sure I will be in the mood to go to a disco and be laughed at.
I thought Louis, I was not sure what to expect from him, because he's played a few supporting characters on Atop the Fourth Wall, but it's always been stuff he wrote, and most of us will always see him as Linkara, so I was really curious how he was going to play this part of just a grump, and I heard that there was going to be a sequence where he gets really drunk, and I was interested to see how he'd play that, because Louis has said many times as himself that he doesn't drink, ever.
Well, basically, it showed him drinking, so you knew he should be drunk. But if he's never been drunk, it shows too, because he wasn't acting as drunk as he should have, having, put down 10 shots of whatever clear liquid he was.
I have been a little drunk myself, and the part where he's slow dancing I thought was the most realistic drunk moment.
Yes. The stumbling, uncoordinated, pathetic.
Yeah. But getting so drunk that you can't stand, I didn't buy that.
Yeah, and all together though, he gave the performance and that identified the character with the way I think the script wanted it.
I love the funniest scenes with him were, as Louis and whoever else has boasted, are the scenes where he tries to dance. Just, I thought those were funny. Where he just goes like that, and then he's like, ugh.
Yes, at home, not drunk, doing the practice dancing was the funniest.
There is one small thing I want to talk about. While the character was boring and not fun to be around, I didn't like how the arc with his character ended particularly. It just seemed just seemed a little too, I don't want to say mean, but just unpleasant to me.
Well, I thought that he gave effort, and Sarah just finally got tired of him, and off he went. And so I thought he got cut a little too short.
Look, I just got done talking to the police. I think it's time to go home.
I want a divorce.
What?
What?
You, me, we're getting divorced.
Is this about...
Go away, Travis.
That was a real cruel ending for that character. And I like Sarah in this, but the way she's like, you can go away, I just thought that was a real cunty moment for the character. That was the least likable moment for her character. It didn't ruin her, I didn't like that moment.
No, it was...
And I felt a little sad for a minute at the end. Maybe I'm the odd man out, but I just thought...
Yeah.
A little... Aww.
Yeah.
That hurt.
Too bad. And when he's out there trying to dance, unsuccessfully, she just laughs, stands to the side and laughs at it. And so, that was tough, because he was incapable of being any fun at all, but he wasn't mean to anybody.
No matter how flawed any of the main players in this film got, I thought every character in this movie, they felt like they fit. Like, they all feel like they fit in this movie's universe.
Mm-hmm.
And the only character who I think was a really the least good addition to this film, that felt like he just came in from a completely different movie, was Rudy, played by Doug Walker.
Oh God, I really like her. But thinking about talking to her again makes me instantly nervous. Oh God, gotta dance!
I think that character was supposed to be comic relief.
I get that, but the type of comic relief shenanigans they had him do just did not match up with anything else in the film. I mean, I thought Doug was funny here, but his character, his performance, it just felt like it came from a completely different comedy. It just felt really odd, and I don't know, just a little too Red Bullish in a movie that's clearly on whiskey.
The character was supposed to be the silliness of disco. That was the only thing that was really in this whole movie that was about disco, other than the soundtrack. Somebody who, he was supposed to be the dancer, not really that good.
Motherfucker can't dance.
But he was trying to work on, he was unable to communicate with women as much as he would like, and he was very stilted and funny, and to the point it was pleasingly silly.
I would buy you a drink if you would just leave me alone.
I assure you, you would find me a charming person if you would just see me dance!
But it didn't seem to fit into the rest of the gritty scene there.
All I'll say is the final scene with him and Crystal I thought was kind of sweet.
Yes.
That's all. And returning after his very big role in Jesus Bro is Farhad Muhammad as the owner of the disco club, DJ Bobby.
DJ Bobby, Farhad was the best actor in his role in the movie.
Really?
Absolutely. Every time he was on, he was doing what he should have been doing. Even when it was kind of the comedy lines, talking on the phone to his, was she fiance or soon-to-be wife or something like that?
I think it was his wife, and she kept saying, when are we going on our honeymoon?
How's everyone doing up there?
This is not how I wanted to spend my honeymoon.
I know, baby, I know. But just picture the two of us on the cruise, sailing to Hawaii without any of the annoyances that get in our way.
So anyway, but all the way through, even at the ending with Brad and all that kind of stuff, in each scene he was in, he was the best in character character in the movie, and he did excellent.
I don't know how to describe him, but he felt like a black man from the 70s.
And he
was getting down with the disco and the funk.
Yeah, and he was in charge.
The part where he's slowly approaching Brad's character for the first time, I'm like, badass.
Yes, he had it. Everything he was supposed to be. When he was supposed to be funny, he was funny.
And the scene where where Bobby and his, I guess, wife, a big time female drug dealer named Henrietta, played by, also returning from Jesus Bro, Alison Pregler. I thought their relationship was like what we saw. Like we didn't get a bunch of development. I thought the relationship was interesting to watch. Just what we got. They're apparently married and they're gonna go on their honeymoon. And before they go, Bobby says he has to take care of Vince, who owes them a lot of money, and Henrietta says they should, or I think it's her that says they should just kill him or something.
Yeah.
Man, that other plan ain't gonna work. There's no way she's into it.
Then I kill him.
They did most of their communication, or all their communication, over the phone.
We never see them in the same room, which is, I don't know, it's not odd, just it's an interesting move to go. Maybe it was filming, because from what I remember when they were filming and Brad was sending tweets about it, they did the majority of the filming and over the course of a few days. So maybe this is all they could afford Allison for. I mean, the days were a couple weeks apart, but maybe that's all they could do and work with. I thought Allison in her small role was pretty good. I think Alison Pregler, well, I'm not a fan of her reviews or comedy. I think she's a great actress, and I thought for what she had, she put in a pretty solid performance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. She was the best in character in Jesus Bro, for my money, but that's another movie.
Go Jesus, bro. And we got Dave Gobble and Brian Lewis playing Henrietta's bodyguards.
And those were easy roles.
I haven't slept in 36 hours. Now, I could take an extra bump of coke, but I don't even have that.
Shit, son, why don't you take a nap?
Yeah, thank you, Bobby. It hadn't occurred to me that I could just take a fucking nap. Do you have any idea what it's like to live above a disco?
Dave has always said, I'm at my best when I'm playing unlikable assholes, and I think he played this unlikable asshole very well.
Yeah.
Also adapting the mustache mini goatee look. I wish his cigarette was actually smoking, but I know Dave's been trying to quit, so
yeah,
I don't know.
It's best you're gonna get.
Brian didn't do much. He was just there. Except for the glasses, he could maybe look intimidating. The last two characters to mention are Buford Stowers, also making his return after a couple of years absent, as Vince's brief partner who just leaves him in the dust at the end. And it's a very small role, and I think it's mainly there just to say, hey, Buford's back.
I'm not sure what it's there for, but I think it was so that there would be two guns on either side of the table.
I think the rest of this review should be in the spoilers. What did you think of that shootout scene? I mean, I know it's mostly off screen, but what did you think of it?
Well, I thought that when they pulled guns on each other, everybody was smiling at each other. It was just weird. It was just weird. And it wasn't like evil, it wasn't anything. It was just like there was a joke between the 5 actors that were on screen and they were trying not to laugh. And I didn't pick up on that very well at all. But then they cut away and all the gunplay starts, which is technically, if you don't have all the stuff like they do in a like a Hollywood major production, to all the technical stuff to be able to do that, be the way to do it.
You thought the gun effects.
Well, when they cut away and you heard the guns bang 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 bang, and then they cut back in. Now this is one place where the directing could have been a little better as far as I was concerned. As the camera cuts back into the office where this all took place, Stowers, he's got his money and he says, "I'm leaving." Brad's shot. He stands up and then he pulls his left hand up. It's got blood on it. Where's the blood coming from? And he has to take his other hand, undo his shirt to reach in, and there, not like there's a bullet hole and blood on his shirt or anything. That just seemed strange to me. It just was not. I mean, look, I haven't been at a gunfight myself, but you've seen a lot of things in movies, and that was just.
Maybe Brad didn't want to ruin his shirt.
Yes, I mean that's exactly what I thought, But it was a surprising lack of good effect. Just put it that way.
I thought Brad's acting as he stumbles through the building after getting shot, the effect's not that good, but his acting as he plays a guy who's like he's
a dying.
Yeah, I thought his acting for there was pretty good. And the way he just went nuts at the end, thought that was with the exception of the gunshots, was a well done sequence.
Yeah, where he and
Bobby
have a shootout. And it was not well done. It was not well done. And you could have done it better.
The one thing about the ending that kind of bothered me, aside from that bitchy moment with Sarah, was that sudden cut to Crystal with a little girl who I think it might be her daughter, and her hair's longer, and she's teaching her to dance, and she talks about the night with her sisters, the girls' aunts, and then it cuts back to them. I thought that ending that part of it was just really strange, and
yeah, it was sometime in the future, but because it didn't transition well to get you there easy.
Because her hair was long in all the past scenes. For a moment I thought, is this the past again? I'm like, wait, what? I thought it was odd. I didn't get it. I thought the ending to Disco was a little bit of a mess, but not complaining too bad. I liked the movie overall. Just the ending was a little strange for me.
Yeah. Transition to now later and letting. I think it was a way of letting people know this is how the sisters stayed together, and it was because of what they went through together to get back together during that night at the disco.
Yeah, I get that.
But you had to kind of think about it. Yeah, that must have been what he was trying to say instead of a transition that took you there.
The final freeze frame with the credits was pretty cool. It's a good copy of Saturday Night Fever, how that movie's end credits played. And this movie came out on December 14th, and Brad says he released on that day specifically because that day was the 40th anniversary of when Saturday Night Fever was released.
Cool.
Buford Stowers, his character here in Disco is named David, and apparently, according to Brad, David is supposed to be the same character that Buford played in Brad's first movie, Freak Out. In Freak Out, Buford's character, Dave, was a man who acquired young boys and young men for the rapist serial killer Dean Corll. So apparently, Disco and Freak Out take place in the same universe.
Why not?
Good luck. Where are you going? I got another package to drop off.
You wonder, is this related to Dean Corll? Maybe.
Maybe.
What are we gonna do now? I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna get these fucking bodies out of here before someone goes somewhere they shouldn't be going. We can't just fucking leave her here. Oh, come on, Wayne. You're not suggesting that we take her with us, are you? Why not? What's the harm in it? Wayne, we're dropping off 2 dead bodies. We're not dropping off someone's dry cleaning.
The cheating husband that Lana fucked, Duncan, was played by another one of Brad's regular actors, Brian Irving.
Mm-hmm.
And you've always thought Irving was not the best actor in Brad's repertoire.
No. I think Irving is not one of the best reviewers in Brad's repertoire.
You didn't like him too much in Paranoia, I thought.
No,
But I thought for what he had to do here, just play a sleazy husband.
He was fine.
Tell me, is this move passable?
Oh, not even a little bit.
Well, then you should get me drunk.
And it was backstory to the relationship between the sisters. It was very good.
Good small role.
Yeah.
And he has the hairy arms for it.
I don't need hairy arms, but he's got them.
Extra hair makes you all the more sleazy. So that's been our review of Brad Jones's Patreon exclusive film, Disco. Do you think it's worth paying $20 for?
I think Brad wanted to attract patrons, and it was a lot of 10 and 10. It was fun. It was fun to look at it, and we've got the history with Brad. We know what his most recent and what his distant stuff is, and it was fun. So, I mean, I'm not going to put a dollar value on it, but it was something that we did, and we liked doing it, and we enjoyed the movie.
I do think it's worth paying, and if you don't like it, then just move on, I guess.
Yeah.
I give this movie, on a scale of 10, a 6.8. It had a few flaws, but I did overall enjoy it, and I do recommend it if you're a fan of Brad Jones, the Cinema Snob, or, even though it's not really connected, Channel Awesome in general. What would you give it?
I don't want to put a number on it because it
Did you like it or not?
I liked it. Yes.
That's all we need, man.
I liked it and recognized the flaws, and it was a lot of fun to watch, and it was very interesting to see how things were done.
Brought me back to the days of Midnight Heat a little. And
not as grainy.
I guess this is the Final JMC review of 2017. This has been quite a year for everybody, don't you think?
Quite a year, yes.
I'm going to be taking a few months off and, well, at least from the big stuff. I might do a little small stuff, but I need a break or I'm going to have a fucking burnout. How do you think this year went as far as me being a reviewer?
Well, you set yourself a very ambitious schedule and you stuck to it. And so I can understand why you'd like to change the pace for a while. And that makes perfect sense to me. You took on a lot of different kinds of things and you gave good efforts in everything that I've seen.
Glad you think so.
Good efforts.
Well, see you in 2018. Hopefully that year will be just as productive or creative. Hope we get to see more from Brad Jones and...
Yes. Brad, keep on writing.
Here's hoping at some point in my lifetime I somehow get to see Shot on Shitio. Happy New Year, Brad.
Happy New Year.
Later.
Spoiler.
I don't know why I did that retarded laugh just now.
You can cut it out.
Stop saying that. You have to edit that out.
Yeah, quit saying
Fuck you.
that. That too.
Okay.